Hey there everyone, welcome back to our Python basic series, and today we'll explore one of, if not my most favorite data type or container, which is the list. And they are my favorite because they're very flexible, and there are so many ways for us to manipulate and use them into our code. To spice things up, we will be using two of my most favorite shows, which are Friends and How I Met Your Mother. Let's dive into what lists are and the methods we can use to manipulate them. Stick around as well for some hands-on exercises, which we will discuss in the next video. A list is a sequence of values that allow us to hold different data types, including string, int, float, and maybe even other lists. And there's no requirement that all the data that it contains are homogeneous, meaning you may have a string and a list and maybe a float and an int. It can contain all of those simultaneously. Lists allow you to modify the data within it. That means to say they're mutable. So as an example, let's create a list from our favorite Friends characters. So as we have discussed, lists are enclosed in square brackets. So let's say, for example, we want to create a list of Friends characters, and we name that as list of Friends, okay? Then, or maybe just Friends characters. So we have Ross, Rachel, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe. And if you want to display this, you can either print the Friends characters variables we just created, or simply just input the Friends characters variable. We want to determine, for example, its length. So if you apply the length here, you'll see that there are 5 elements within this list. Elements inside the list are separated by comma. So we have here Ross separated by another element, which is Rachel. And all in all, we have 5 elements inside the list. And determine and to check or verify its type, you have here list. And you can even input here, let's say, for example, another set of lists. Let's say, for example, Ted and Barney, although they are not Friends characters. Let's say Robin, Marshall, and Lily. And now you see that a list can contain a string and simultaneously another list. Or maybe if you want to include int or a float or any other types of variables, even tuple or a dictionary. That's why they're kind of my favorite container. Since we have input another element, which is a list, what do you think will be the new length for this particular variable? That's correct. It should be 6 because the list just counts here as one element. Again, as I've mentioned earlier, elements within a list are separated by comma. And because there's only one comma after Phoebe, then this technically counts as one variable. Although Ted, Barney, Robin, Marshall, and Lily are what you call lists within a list. In this particular case, the Friends characters list that we have becomes a nested list. And the nested list are lists that contains other lists as its element. To access the elements of the list, we basically just subscript the index position. As a review, Python starts with a 0 index. So if I want to access Ross, it's Friends characters. Okay, it will allow me to access Ross. Rachel is index 1, and of course the last The last variable, if you want to access it, you can either count, for example here, the len of 6 minus len of friends characters, and because this will give you the actual length and Python starts with 0, you have to subtract 1. That will give you this. Or as a simple technique, you could just get the last character by using the -1 as an index for your subscript. Okay. There. Python likewise provides a variety of methods for us to access and manipulate lists. Let's go over it with some of our now favorite How I Met Your Mother characters. So, for example, here for the list of our How I Met Your Mother characters, it's a bit How I Met Your Mother characters. Okay. So we have Ted. We've actually done this earlier, but let's do it again nonetheless. Robin, Barney, Marshall, and Lily. For the append method adds an element to the or at the end of the list. So let's say, for example, we call on that, we attach the append method to that list variable, and let's say, for example, we want to add Tracy. Okay, characters, sorry about that. So now, if I call on the How I Met or HIMYM characters, you should be able to find Tracy at the end of that list. Now for the insert methods adds an element at a specific position. So for example, in this case, we attach the insert method. The first argument for the insert method is the index by which or at which you want this new element to be placed. So let's say, for example, you want to place Victoria at index 2. So take a moment to analyze where Victoria will be in this new set of lists. So before calling on that, let's also call the list variable. So where do you think Victoria will be added, or the position of Victoria once we have added Victoria in this list? Where would Victoria be? That's right, it's in index 2, so 0, 1. So Barney will now be index 3, Victoria will be index 2. Now the remove method removes an element by value. That means that instead of knowing the index here, you must know the value of the element that you wanted to remove. So let's say, for example, in this case, HIMY characters dot remove, okay, and maybe, for example, for a time you want to remove Barney. Then upon calling this list variable, Barney has been removed. The extend method would extend two lists to make it just one list. So remember, we have earlier the friends characters, and we likewise have this How I Met Your Mother characters. So for example, if we want to extend it, you attach the .extend method to the first list, which will become which will preserve the position of this list. So for example, Ross, Rachel, Chandler, and true to its word, it's not very difficult to understand that extend would just simply add it here. So let's say, for example, you want to add the HIMYM characters, and therefore now you should call friends characters because that is the list that has been extended, not the HIMYM characters. So here you get to see that it's now extended with the character. Take note that when we have extended it, it kind of got unpacked, meaning that not like this, for example, but the elements inside the HIMYM characters were kind of like now treated as an extension of the friends characters. For the pop method, so this is the pop method, this removes the last element in the list. Say, for example, you've just committed a mistake in appending a value. So, for example, in this case, for our HIMYM characters, we use the pop method, and once I enter this code, it will print out which value got removed. So Tracy got removed. So now if I call on this list variable, Tracy is no longer there. Okay, and I guess you can also, if you want, you can also determine the particular position you want to remove. So by also calling an index, by default it's using -1, which is the last. So for example, in this particular case, if you want to remove Victoria, just put in index number 2, and again, like what happened earlier, it will print out the character that it removed upon the application of that method. Now, in order for you to clear the list, because for example, so many methods have been applied already and you just want to start anew, then the .clear method will help you do that. So let's do that with the HIMYM characters. And now if I call on this list, it will just be an empty list. Now let's talk about list slicing and operations like concatenation and repetition. Imagine, let's say, for example, you want just a subset of your list. To do that, here's the code. Go back and use again the friends characters list variable that we have created. So let's call on that and just check what we have already. So as you can see, there's already a lot of things that we have added here. So what I'll do is I'll clear it again. Okay, or maybe just in lieu of clearing, I could just enter this code again to kind of refresh my list of friends characters. Okay, so now in this particular case, just a review for the friends characters, we have here the last element, so I could just pop that one out, right? And it will remove that. So now we have a fresh friends characters variable list. And let's say, for example, I want to subset Rachel and oh, I think Monica is missing here. Apologies. So let me just add here Monica. After Rachel. And so sorry about that. So now we see here Rachel comes after Monica, and let's say, for example, I want to create a friends subset where I want to separate Rachel and Monica because they've lived in a separate apartment. So maybe let's just create that variable subset of maybe subset friends, for example. To do that, I would just slice this list starting from this index, so that's index 1, up to index 3. Why index 3? Well, if I put in just 2, this number will be excluded. That's how subsetting works in Python. So by adding another one, let's say, for example, index 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3, this one will not be included, only 1 and 2. So let's try that. So there you have. In this case, if I also, let's say, for example, starts with Ross, I could just subset it using Now, a little bit of advice. In this particular case, if you're gonna start with the first character or the first index anyway, this is just the same as you not having to put a, for example, 0 here. Python understands that without a number in the left side of this colon, it means that you wanted to start at the beginning. Okay, same with, for example, if you want to subset this, for example, from index 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3, it will start with Chandler. And if you want the subset or the slice, the list slice that you are making to include the last character or the last element rather, you don't need to put any number here. Python will interpret that as you wanting to include the last. So they will Python will read this as subset the characters, friends characters from index 3 up to the last one. And you see here Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe. If we want to concatenate lists as well, we can do the extend method, but you can also do it this way. So this is for the concatenation. Okay, so let's say we create a combined list, and basically it's the friends characters plus the HIMYM characters. Note that we are able to do this with the plus sign because they are of similar data type, similar with how we've done it with the string. So for example, print combined list, and there you have it. Oh, I think we've cleared HIMYM characters. So let me just enter that again here. Okay, and if you wanna add that, okay, so there you have it. So if you want to try that as well, for example, you have a list of 2, 5, and then let's say, for example, some string here, okay, and you want to add in here, let's say, for example, 3, 4, another string. You're able to do that with just the plus sign. Last in this part of the video is the repetition. So for example, if you want to repeat Ross 3 times, this is the syntax. It has to be as an element or a list that you have to, let's say, for example, repeat 3 times. So what do you think will be the output? The output will be, there will be 3 Rosses inside this list. Now, you may want to try that with a list that has more than just one element. So for example, friends characters. And if you want to repeat these characters in this order, let's say for example for 2 times, you'll get that in this case. So maybe for example you wanted this particular order to be repeated 3 times, and you can just do it this way. Traversing a list is very similar to how we've been traversing anything actually. So let's write a code that would actually loop or traverse a list that we already have, and that's probably the friends character. Just to review, our friends characters variable has the following elements: Ross, Rachel, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe. So if you want to traverse using the for loop, so we go and write a for loop for friend in friends characters print, and we use now the F string here. So this is the particular code for this one, hello friend, where this format of placing F outside a string container, which means single or double quotes, and including a curly brace with a variable, for example your friend, would put that variable into that string to be printed. So let's try that on now. And of course, as well, as a final part of this traversing a list, we can also input conditionals. So, for example, we can modify this. We want to put a condition. So, for example, if friend equals Ross, then we want to print Dr. Ross instead of Ross, else we print the normal format. There. Now it's time to check our understanding of the list and its methods by doing some hands-on exercises. For the first exercise, we'll need to sort this list. So let's create a function that sorts only the strings in the list of gadgets. You can actually tweak this problem and make it just sort the numeric variables, but as a first version of this problem, just sort on the, well, strings portion. So hint, you may want to check per item or while you're traversing the list, the type of element. For exercise number 2, we need to check if the list or the given list is sorted or already in a particular order, if it's in ascending or descending order. But here, we are specifically told to write a function to check if a list of numeric data, meaning the list only contains numeric data, float or integers, where the data is sorted in ascending order. And for number 3, it's a bit of a challenge. We need to get the sum of the diagonal elements of a matrix. So this is actually very important if you're going to do some data science in the future. So we need to write a function that takes the sum of the diagonal elements of a two-dimensional array or 2D array, and you have to take this as an input. So for example, for this one, the diagonal would be 1, 5, and 9, and if you add the diagonal, the answer should be 15. And there you have it. We've covered the basics of lists in this video, including the creation and how to modify, how to access, and the common methods as well used to modify and manipulate the data inside or elements inside the list. Hope this video is informative. Please try to answer the exercises. It will really solidify or strengthen your knowledge about the methods or the lessons that we have discussed in this video. So I'll see you again in the next video.